because it was like, yo, like we 2 for 2. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why you going, you know what I'm saying? Like, why y'all calling it now? You know?
Yeah,
like,
we 2 for 2. Trust the process type
right,
shit.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ah.
Yo, my man just texted me and
Huh?
he asked me to ask you. I don't know if he asked me to ask you, you were on a original scenario song?
Not the original. And I think it's long. I might have recorded a verse, but it's funny thing about scenario.
He said he heard you on the shit. I'm like, I don't remember hearing you on. He said he wanted me to ask you why they took you off the shit.
You know what it is? The version of scenario that we hear, that was the original. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the original record. They wound up doing about at least 3 or 4 different mixes of scenario, only to use the original. And this is my word, none of them was close to the original. Like even how Tip used the loops, you know what I'm saying, was more like, to me, was more like they could have done like added B, added C, added D side. You know what I'm saying? Like that would have been fun to see. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But none of it was even formatted how the original scenario is. But there was a bunch of versions, but it was obvious to me, even when we were laying them. You know what I'm saying? And this is my word. I think I was at the studio, I think Long laid, but I don't know. I might have as well. I really don't remember. I know Long laid a verse. That's, you know what I'm saying? But and that's why I'm thinking your man might be talking about Long's verse, because I don't think I did, but I might have. You know what I'm saying? I might have. But just say, like, it was so long ago, I honestly don't remember. Like, but just say it. But I knew hearing them then that none of them was touching the original. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the record that we hear. You know, the record that we hear was the first version, and you know, like that was.
The joint was dope too. I like the hood.
I like the remix.
The remix was hard.
All right,
Hood,
the
Hood got off on that, dog.
Yeah, he bodied that. He bodied that. Yeah, no doubt.
God bless him, man. Real talk.
Yeah, for real. God bless. Yeah, that kid was special.
Joe Buttons did it, and then whatever.
Oh, Joe Buttons did it, with the Pump It Up joint. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
The original, that remix, that shit with that beat right there. Yeah, that's my shit.
Yo, baby. I interviewed Psycho Les one time, right? Shout out to Psycho Les, this is my dude and shit.
Yeah, good dude.
And good dude. And I asked him this, and I want to ask you the same thing, because the native tongues were so different at the time. You know what I'm saying? They were. I know there's some live dudes, Paz and True Goy and Mace. They're no suckers. You know what I'm saying? But they have that image of peace and flower power. You know what I'm saying? All that. I told Les, and I kind of feel the same for Black Sheep too. Like, you guys were a fit, but I felt like not maybe not so much, because Dres, I always looked at you as like some, you know, you were wavy and you had 360 spinning and all that, and all that shit. So I'm like, yeah, he's guy got the native tongue vibe, but he also got that a different vibe. Did you ever feel like maybe this ain't a great fit? Because I thought the Beatnuts really ain't fit in the native tongues, you know what I'm saying? But Black Sheep could have went either or. Was there ever a point where you're like, well, maybe we don't fit into the aesthetic of the group, or am I off?
Nah, honestly, that's really kind of how we got our name. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like when it came to us coming up with a name for ourselves, me and Long, you know, I looked at cats and I was like, yo, like, we're kind of the black sheep of this crew. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that, you know, like, it was just, I was coming from a different perspective altogether, and cats might not have ever seen some of my walk through my music, and that kind of was very intentionally, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, and I knew I had the ability to be more than one-dimensional. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Especially coming out of this camp, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was a bunch of individuals, and to really stand out amongst them, you had to be an individual, you know what I'm saying? To be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, you know, like I looked at cats on you know, just on the surface, and was like, you know, like, we kind of would be the black sheep of this crew right here. You know, like my walk was a little different than everybody's in here. And my little man's walk was, you know, like he kind of adopted my walk, I think, a little more than anything, because even when I saw him, when we passed each other on the street in New York, you know, like, he kind of looked a little bit more like their crew. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a little Kente clothed out. You know what I'm saying? This, that, and the other. Which ain't a bad thing.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I think I gave him a little bit more of my identity to kind of move.
Swag, the swag.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, and even then, I'm like, you know, like we're kind of the black sheep of this crew, and that kind of was our name right there. Like,
that's
okay,
L.
you know, yeah, you know,
that's dope.
But at the end of the day, though, like just my word, like it spoke to as well the individuality that should exist in all of us, but at the same time, the like-mindedness that should exist within all of us. You know what I'm saying? Like it was cool that we all were our own individuals and move in different ways. And, you know, to say that at the end of the day, 2 + 5 is 7, so is 3 + 4, so is 6 + 1, so is 7 + 0.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of ways to get to 7.
No
you know
doubt.
What I'm saying? And it was for us to identify how we get to 7. You know what I'm saying? And that was to be the black sheep of that crew. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, you know, like I ran with DITC. Me and Showbiz had a house together in the Bronx. That's my man. That was reflective as well of my walk. You know what I'm saying? But something you might not get off of a record. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, I went from being managed by Baby Chris to being managed by Shakim in the Flavor Unit. So now I'm around, you know, that circle and this, that, and the other. And, you know, like there was a lot of walks to my walk. I was at the same time, I'm bringing out a crew called the Legion. I'm the first MC to have an imprint. You know what I'm saying? I bring out the Legion on One Love and a female group called Image that sing from out of Oakland. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, like, and so cats start knowing me from, you know, running around with the Legion. But that ain't even my crew. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like at the end of the day, like, you know, like I grew up with, you know, with Boom Bash and out in Lawton and hustled in the Bland with, you know, the likes of Lord C, Shaw James C, like real cats that heads know around New York.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? And just to say, like, you wouldn't get none of that from a record.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? So I kind of just played the cut with mine, you know what I'm saying? And knew that my story was much bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I had a story that I could share, you know, but I just had to do it kind of, I really had to think it through, you know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
But that was all good because it helped me to become a better me, you know what I'm saying? I still had a lot of lessons to learn. I definitely still bump my head in different places and,
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? It's all relative. But at the same time, you know, like I've been fortunate